If you were here last week, I talked about the 4 reasons why creators experience burnouts. So this week, I'm going to talk about 5 ways to avoid creative burnout. And just to reiterate, let's set the tone with our definition of creative burnout. It is a prolonged state of mental and emotional exhaustion that leaves you feeling perpetually uninspired, detached, and unmotivated to create. It's marked by a cynical view of your creative work's effectiveness, impact, or value. Over time, you struggle to complete projects, second guess your abilities, and silently begin to give up on your potential as a creative person. In the end, you are left to feel creatively paralyzed and emotionally drained. Again, so last week, we talked about the essence of busy work, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you found yourself unable to complete anything lately, and losing focus on finishing. So those four things that cause creative burnout that we talked about the lack of deep work, being wrapped up in shallow work, no automation, no delegation, and not developing and applying any new skills. So the goal for this podcast is to help equip you with a practical strategy to stay productive, energized, and focused to do the creative works that matters to you. And we talk about this in the grand scheme of things. Why does this even matter? Because we can't eliminate every stressor or hang-up, but we can implement systems to protect and free up our time to be more creative. The most important thing that I want you to get from this is that your creativity matters, and you need to have the energy and the focus and to be able to do the creative works, to not be overwhelmed and consumed by the things that don't matter, or the things that are menial, or the things that hinders you from maximizing on your ability to be creative. So let's get into these 5 solutions to avoid creative burnout. So number 1, doing the deep work. It is focused, distraction-free work on the meaningful creative works. So how do you set the parameters to be able to do deep work? You have to set dedicated blocks of times for creating. You have to get away from emails, your phone, or any form of notifications. Because again, with deep work, it's focused, it's uninterrupted, and it's intentional. So one thing that I did was I focused in my songwriting sessions. I did it in intervals of 3 hours. But within those 3 hours, I had 45-minute intervals in the meantime. So I allowed myself to write distraction-free for 45 minutes, and then I would take breaks in between. That way that I can stay fresh, I can stay motivated. I don't get myself worn out. The body and the brain is trying to conserve energy at all times. So if I push it to the limit, then I'm actually hindering myself in the long run. So again, the point is intentionality. 3 hours for songwriting, 45-minute intervals, taking breaks in between, uninterrupted and focused. That way that nothing is getting in the between that. There's no emails, there's no checking the computer, there's no notifications that are throwing me away from doing that songwriting process. So again, it's intentional creative work with realistic intervals over a long period of time. Number 2, automation. You want to use and leverage technology to simplify repetitive tasks. What does that look like? Systems like email templates, SOPs, which means standard operating procedures, scheduling tools, or even social media posters to free up your time. One thing that I use to free up my time is I use a CRM, an email platform called MailChimp. This allows me to create automated emails in the form of a nurturing series. This allows me to have intentional and consistent conversation with supporters of my music while not being present all the time. So again, it allows me to do 2 things. I'm intentional, I'm building relationship, I'm communicating with my supporters, but it's not me being there actually doing the thing. While that's going on in the background, I'm also creating. I'm also planning out things in my business. I'm also focused on the deep work that matters the most. Because again, if you find yourself being overly consumed by things that you can automate, it takes away from the work that matters the most, that people benefit from in the long run. Your supporters want you to create more. They want you to finish your creative works. They want you to be focused on the things that matter because they benefit from that. And having that automation parameter in place allows you to free yourself up to do those things. So again, the ultimate end goal to get away from that is to not be caught up in busy work, because busy work is dead work. Busy work is frustrating work. Busy work frustrates you and demotivates you over time without you even knowing it. It'll sneak up on you and it'll take you over, and it'll allow you to see yourself with so much time wasted without the end result of what you intended to create to begin with. Number 3, delegation. By definition, that's trusting others to handle specific tasks relevant to your creative works. This gives you more time to focus on your strengths while allowing others to contribute to your weakness. So an example of this is myself and my business partner, Can B, of a film called Black. When we first got together and became resident artists for the Arts and Public Life here in Chicago, we hired an assistant. Why did we do that? We didn't have an album out. We didn't begin our programming yet. We didn't do any of those things yet. But we knew in advance that we needed an assistant to handle those menial tasks, those email responses, being able to deal with the band members that work with us, being able to deal with the venue, being able to deal with all of the different aspects around us that allows us to thrive as a collective. But if we were the ones focused on those tasks, we wouldn't have time to rehearse. We wouldn't have time to create. We wouldn't have time to finish the album, at least not effectively. Now, you do what you can in the meantime, but the point is you're active in delegating. You're active in seeking out ways to delegate those specific tasks that keeps you away from being creative. But what was the end result of that as well? When we were able to finish our album, we were able to finish our film, which is an episodic series placed within the album. We were able to tour with the film. We were able to get more opportunities to show the film because we had the time to do so while having an assistant to help us take away the tasks that would have gotten away from us scaling and getting that film out to the public. So one thing that can help you is you want to decide today which tasks, pick about 3, which tasks that you do on a consistent basis that you're willing to place in process form and delegate out. Now, this may take some time, but it's a very important task to develop. Think about the 1 to 3 things that you do the most. You want to sketch that out. You want to sketch out the process, because that becomes a SOP that you can hand over to someone else that can pick that up and they can do that work for you, that can free you up to do the work that matters the most. Number 4, you want to prioritize learning new skills. You want to stay curious and expanding your skill set. What does that look like? You want to read books that are practical and inspirational within your creative practice. You want to watch and absorb intentionally specific videos and podcasts to help you further your ideas and your creative works. One book that I read that was very instrumental to my career to this day was How to Make It in the New Music Business by Ari Hairston. It is a book that helped me see and think of myself as a business. It helps artists comprehensively think about their career and their career goals outside of the creativity itself. This allowed me to value creativity but remain business conscious and seek opportunities that allow my creative works as an artist to be intentional with building supporters along the way to scale my career in creativity. Again, the point of applying and learning and prioritizing new skills is that it keeps your career fresh. It keeps you implementing things that are relevant today that can get you further in the future. If you don't learn new skills, if you don't prioritize learning new skills, you only have to rely on what's old. And what's old may not get you to where you need to go. We are in an ever evolving industry. The creative industry is always evolving. So if you think of your skills that were applicable in, say, 2008 and think it's going to be applicable in 2025, you'd be sadly mistaken. So you want to make that as a part of your creative way of being. You want to creatively apply and seek out new skills to learn. And then lastly, one thing that is probably not, I would say, popular in popular culture is intentional rest. You want to build rest into your creative routine. It should be non-negotiable. Why is this important? We're human. We have limited capacity. You cannot wear yourself out. If you are working 7 days a week, 8 to 12 hours a day, all the time, always on, it will catch up with you. And then at some point, it will limit your human capacity and it will limit your effectiveness. And eventually the quality of the work will diminish over time anyway. And that's not what we want. We want to give people our best. We want to give the best of what we have to offer, not the leftovers. So what does this look like? You recharge, rest. You sit still. You watch inspirational programming. You appreciate what you've already accomplished. You take the time to really sit in that and embody that. And then you support other creators without personal motives. You go out to their events. You share their creative works online. What does this do for your heart? What does this do for your soul, your being? This allows you to support the larger creative ecosystem beyond yourself. This recharges your spirit and soul in the process, watching others you support do well. It keeps you encouraged in your very own creative practice. So one thing that I've implemented, that I was encouraged to implement also within my own life and within our family, is to honor the Sabbath. So what does that look like for me? We don't schedule anything. We sit back, we enjoy movies, we enjoy time together. We don't put anything on the schedule. And if we feel inspired to work, we will. But it's not something that we show up aiming to do. We intentionally do it if it calls for us to do it. But the most important thing is rest and appreciation, because in the end, it re-energizes you to focus on the future work. You'll be surprised, and this is what I heard from my pastor, you'll be surprised of what you can do with 6 days if you do it well, by giving up the 7th and resting and recharging. You'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. So one thing that I want you to do, and one thing that you can apply right now, is you want to schedule a specific time to rest. Make it repetitive and make it intentional. Don't put that off. It doesn't necessarily have to be a day. It could be whatever parameters you want to put in place that can give you the rest that you need. The point is to not be on all the time, so you can reset and recharge for future works. It is a beneficial practice. I would highly encourage you to implement that. So the long-term benefits of these 5 strategies to avoid burnout, they allow you to build up the energy and the confidence and the power to complete what's important and value for what the world is yet to receive. You want to be sure to prioritize rest, learning, delegation, collaboration, and intentional work over a long period of time. You'll see the results of how much you'll be able to get done and what you'll be able to do effectively without feeling drained or fatigued. So again, the 5 steps to avoiding burnout, creative burnout more specifically: do the deep work, automate what you can, delegate what you can, prioritize learning and applying new skills, and make room for intentional rest. I want you to take these actionable steps. I want you to take them today. I want you to put them into practice as soon as possible and watch your energy rise. Watch your creativity kick into full gear. I guarantee you that when you put these into practice, you'll be more inspired, and you'll be ready to do more work than you ever thought before. In the meantime, I wish you the best. I can't wait to see what you create, man. Thank you for watching. I'm Neak. Be blessed.